Welcome everybody. Again today I have come with another video of my series that is retail banking from corporate with interview questions. Today we will be discussing about CIP and PEP. So let's begin. And one more thing I would like to tell you, thank you for commenting on the previous video. By the comments only I was able to improve and I will be coming with many more videos. Keep commenting, keep seeing the videos. Thank you. Let's see what we have today. So first of all, the question is that in the interview, after the question that what do you mean by KYC and AML, this question might probably come to you. This is a second level question, that is after the preliminary round is clear. So they might ask you what is CIP. If you have seen my previous video, I have discussed regarding the stages of KYC. So CIP is the first stage of KYC. So let's see how we can answer this question. So CIP is the first phase of AML and is a collection and verification of consumer provided information, establishing a reasonable belief that the customer exists and who they say they are. What does it mean is that this is written in very simple English actually. So coming on a retail part, if we see a customer is coming with PAN card and Aadhaar card and he is coming self to us, so we see that he is blankly eligible to open an account. Due diligence is a different thing, but he qualifies the basic criteria, right? So CIP on a very simple means that's only, but it is written in this way because this if say CIP in asked, we need to use these terms like collection, verification, okay, reasonable belief. We need to speak in a polished English manner. Now coming on the simple part, this is a very simple definition, but if we are coming on a technical part on a more side, so CIP is the legal requirement for financial institution to verify information provided by a consumer as outlined in the US Patriotic Act. So CIP is a legal requirement in US because in India also we have a basic criteria of account opening, but CIP, this technical term, is used in US compliance directly. So it is being used because of US Patriot Act. The Bank Secrecy Act of 1970 requires financial institutions to assist US government agencies in detection and prevention of money laundering. So the BSA Act, which is in place, which has been enacted in 1970, forces the NBFCs and banking organization to share all the data with US government agencies for detection and prevention of money laundering. Compliance with the BSA include financial institution maintaining a customer identification program to prove that the identity of new customer has been verified at account opening. See this last line. What it means is that they compile the NBFCs as well as banking organization to comply with the BSA Act by maintaining a CIP program which is subject to audit by government. Okay. Similarly, the same guidelines we have in India, but they are not that much stringent as US. Now coming on the two acts which I have discussed right now, the US Patriot Act and Bank Secrecy Act, let me give you a brief about that too. Now this CIP definition, which is written as technical, when we are being asked in interviewer, we need to speak this definition actually. I know it contains lot of jargons, but this is required because if you are working in US compliance, then you need to know these two acts. Now coming on US Patriot Act, the uniting and strengthening of America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism act of 2001 enacted on October 26, 2001. The historic US law brought about momentous change in the anti-money laundering field, including more than 50 amendments to the Bank Secrecy Act. Title 3 of the Act, the International Money Laundering Abatement and Anti-Money Laundering Finance Act of 2001, contain most but not all of its anti-money laundering related provisions. So this is the Patriot Act and Bank Secrecy Act, which is also called BSA. This is a primary US anti-money regulatory status enacted in 1970 and most notably amended by the US Patriot Act in 2001. Among other measures, it imposes money laundering controls on financial institutions and many other businesses, including the requirement to report and to record of various financial transactions. A program that US-based financial institutions as defined by the Bank Secrecy Act are required to establish and implement in order to control money laundering and related financial crime. The program component include at a minimum the development of internal policies, procedure and controls, the designation of compliance officer, ongoing employee and training and independent audit function to test the program. I know these two definitions sounds big, but you need to read it Okay, you don't need to understand it, but no, basically if somebody interviewer asks you that what are the acts that control AML of US, you shouldn't be blank onto that. Therefore I just discussed this too. This acts is just for information. Read it, just know it, what is it, you don't need to remember it. Okay, now coming on the components of CIP. Okay, as I have discussed in the first slide that what is CIP, both technical and simple definition. Now coming on the components of CIP. So collection of customer information, name, date of birth, address, taxpayer identification number are minimum requirement. For US citizen, a SSN serve as a taxpayer identification number. For a non-US person, an identification number from government issued ID bearing a photograph. By this, as I discussed this name, date of birth, address and TIN number, I have discussed in my earlier videos that these are the basic information which we require. And for US citizens, social security number do everything. As in India we have Aadhaar, and for non-US person it is asking for an ID with a photo, but that is subject to the country as well as US guidelines actually. Now coming on the second point, identity verification procedure. Online channels, this is often satisfied with comparing consumer provided information to the record from database and or document request procedure for verifying the identity of each customer. What does it mean is that I know it is being some words having gone either इधर चले गया है, but let me explain you on to that. Like we have PAN card, we verify it from income tax website. We have Aadhaar, we verify it with OTP or biometric detail. Similarly, in US, whatsoever customer is giving, it could be SSN, it could be a DL or any other country related document. They have a specific procedure on how to verify it. Okay, they cannot just in India, as we just by seeing the physical available original document, by seeing OSV we do it. In US, we have a procedure to follow. In when I worked in US compliance, what we used to do is that we used to we used to, whenever the customer used to submit a document, we need to raise a request to our US counterpart who take 24 to 48 hours to authenticate that. So there is a procedure which need to be followed. Comparison with government list, ensuring that the customer is not included in any sanction list or known as suspected terrorist or terrorist organization. In US, whomsoever opens an account, it could be a citizen or non-citizen, their credentials, their details like name, date of birth, address are being matched with sanction list, with negative match list. Only after that, if they found no match, only then the account is opened. Record keeping requirement, written procedure necessary for collection and maintenance of record for all information obtained in identity verification procedure. This is the privacy law which US government maintain, that if you are opening an account, then you have to also sign a declaration that these documents or whatsoever information you are giving will be used by the government to monitor you and will be kept in a secure way with government only. Customer notice, documented process of providing bank customer with adequate notice that the bank is requesting information to verify their identities. As in my previous video, in my first video, as I told you, US bank provide customized product to their customer. Means you can also buy a ATM card in any of the retail shop like Walmart, Dollar Shop. There, if you are using it below a limit, you don't have to give a KYC. But if the threshold is reached, depending upon the product requirement, then you have to provide KYC by scanning it. So if bank is saying customer that provide KYC since you have stood a threshold, then they need to inform them prior. Okay, they cannot just immediately say that immediately provide your KYC within 10 minutes, so that or else your money will be lost or it will be freeze, nothing like that. So notices need to be given. Now coming on the next important question of today's, what is PEP? Is PEP monitoring is required and how PEP is identified? This is a gold question which comes in AML KYC interview. I am sure you have heard this question. So this is a kind of a very critical question which comes irrespective of which position you are going in AML industry. So let me explain you this too. So coming on PEP, a political exposed person is an individual who is or has entrusted with a prominent function, which means people who are at the leadership level in a government institution or it could be a semi-government institution are PEPs. Many PEP hold positions that can be abused for the purpose of laundering illicit funds, or other predicate offense such as corruption or bribery. As we have heard that power, money come with power, so everything is defined other than this. Because of the risks associated with PEP and FATF recommendation requires the application of additional AML CFT measures to the business relationship with PEP. These requirements are preventive in nature and should not be intercepted, as meaning that all PEP are involved in criminal activity. Now, coming on this additional AML CFT measures, CFT is counter financial terrorism. Okay, what does this last means that FATF has its own set of guidelines to deal with PEP, and if a person is politically involved in a government or holding a higher position, doesn't mean that he is only indulged in criminal or corruption activities. Now coming on few jargons, FATF is Financial Action Task Force. If you are watching news in India, then you have seen that Pakistan has been blacklisted by FATF. But when in interview or when you are discussing about PEP and interviewer asked about FATF, I will explain you later in this video regarding FATF. But never give examples such as Pakistan is blacklisted, Syria is blacklisted, Iraq is blacklisted. It is, don't give such examples. Okay, be relevant to the question, be specific to the question. Now there are two type of PEP. One is foreign PEP, individual who are or have been entrusted with prominent public function by foreign countries, which includes head of state or government, senior politician, senior government judicial or military officials, senior executive of state and corporation, and important political officials. Now, the second type of PEP is domestic PEP. Individual who are or have been entrusted domestically with prominent public functions, example head of state or government, senior politician, senior government judicial or military official, senior executive of state and corporation, and politically party officials. I know this foreign PEP and domestic PEP sound a bit different, so I have given couple of examples. See, for India, Narendra Modi, who is our Prime Minister, is a domestic PEP. Similarly, for India, Donald Trump, who used to be the President of United States, is a foreign PEP. Similarly, for US, Donald Trump being a citizen of US is a domestic PEP. Similarly, Narendra Modi being the citizen of India is a foreign PEP. Okay, so even though you are a PEP in any country, you are categorized being a domestic or foreign because you have the power. But there is a big problem while categorizing PEP. The problem is that lack of available and useful information about the identity of PEP around the world. Currently, there are dozens of private providers that offer PEP database. However, the information contained in them and the ability to positively match our customer PEP on a database can be challenged. What does that mean is that there is no database maintained, especially in any country, that if a person position got evaluated to PEP. Okay, giving a very nominal example, if any of the person got selected as MP, MLA, or he got selected as a Rajya Sabha member or a Lok Sabha member, there is no database updated in India that when he got selected, what was his tenure, when he resigned, or when he got re-elected. The same condition exists with different country. So there is no genuine database around available. Only they by checking the transaction going on media report, but media report can be biased too, right? There are some publicly available sources of information that can be used to assist you in identifying PEP and their associate. The Corruption Prevention Index published by Transparency International, an international non-government organization devoted to combating corruption, is useful in focusing on high-risk jurisdiction. I am sure if you follow news, you have heard this, organization named Transparency International, which on a yearly basis provide the corruption index. Okay, so we can refer that, but we have seen in certain cases that even this Transparency International is a non-profit organization, so and it belongs to a certain country, so the data which is provided by it might be biased since it is unregulated, so it is not a reliable source to view. Now coming on the monitoring part of PEP, now it is a very critical questions that might come to you in AML, that how PEP is categorized in European compliance and US compliance. So I am answering that too. Natural person who have been entrusted with prominent public function and immediate family members or individual known to be close associated of such person Close associated must be identified only when the relationship with the PEP is publicly known or the institution suspect there is a relationship. What does it mean is that in European Union, if you are a close blood member of a PEP or publicly your relationship is defined, explaining in a very simple terms, like Mr. Rahul Gandhi is the son of a very prominent political figure, Sonia Gandhi, right? So it is publicly known. So if both exist to be in Europe, if suppose just giving an example, so both are included as PEP list, irrespective whether Rahul Gandhi is a member of parliament or judiciary or not. Okay. Now coming on more details, the commission said that a person should not be considered as a PAP after 1 year of not being in a prominent position. Enhanced due diligence should be applied to every PEP, whether the individual is a domestic or third-party country citizen. The risks of these people poses for at least 12 months and measures are subject to be must be applied to their family members and their known close associates. What it does it mean is that according to European Union, if you are a PEP, then your account is monitored for 12 months. Okay. If in 12 months they didn't find any suspicious, then they will downgrade the account to medium or low risk. But in US banking, once you are a PEP, always you are a PEP. Even though the account is compliant, your transactions are normal, your account always be in high risk. But in European compliance, for 12 months is the monitoring period. In 12 months, if they find it to be normal, they will downgrade it. So today's video was mostly focused on CIP and PEP. If you saw this video, like the content, kindly comment, subscribe and like, and comment that what need to be done to improve it. Kindly tell me if you require any relevant examples or any other interview questions to be explained. Thank you for watching.